Okay. We're back. My computer friggin' had an update. It literally that happened with the friggin' video, unfortunately, and then an update. But what's good, everybody? We're back. KD, what's up? Welcome back. Welcome back. No mandates. Amy, what's good? LS, Hanky, Hanky, Mr. Hanky, what's going on? Make sure you smash the like button. It's free 99. Brookie in the building. LZ Mama TikTok LOL Tambellina. Hopefully I said that right. Tambellina. Maybe that's the last name. I don't know. Slenderella. I like that name. That name is dope. Harley, what's going on? Welcome. Lollipop, what's going on? Jips back. She's back. Schema boy. What's going on, Schema boy? But let's get into it. I found this podcast. We're going to do this because since with his trial, for some reason, good God, they don't want to let you watch nothing.
He was hiding in a closet, he said, because he had just heard gunshots coming from his parents' bedroom on the second.
There we go.
16-year-old Antonio Armstrong Jr., known as AJ to his family and friends, called 911 at 1:40 a.m. on July 29th, 2016. He told the dispatcher that he was in his bedroom on the third floor of the home he shared with his parents and younger sister.
Jump right into it.
He was hiding in a closet, he said, because he had just heard gunshots coming from his parents' bedroom on the second floor below him. He said their bedroom door was cracked open and that it was never cracked open like that.
Holly.
The dispatcher asked him about the gunshots he heard, what kind of gun it sounded like.
No, we're good.
And although AJ said he didn't know what kind of gun it was, he said his dad usually kept a gun in a drawer right next to his bed. Houston police officers responded to the home on Palmetto Street in an affluent area of town in Houston, Texas, and set up a perimeter around the residence. Meanwhile, AJ was still inside and still on the phone with the 911 dispatcher. At the dispatcher's direction, he crept down to the second floor to his 14-year-old sister Kayra's room. The dispatcher could hear him tell her, "I heard gunshots in Mom and Dad's room. We gotta go outside. The police are here." AJ then walked her down to the first floor and unarmed their alarm system.
Okay.
Officers immediately met them at the door and whisked them away into safety while they went inside to clear the house.
Hold on, let me put a poll up.
Inside the kitchen on the first floor, right on the counter in plain sight, was a .22 caliber handgun that was warm to the touch. Next to that was a note, which the officers would soon realize was scrawled on a piece of paper from a pad found in one of the kitchen drawers. "I have been watching for a long time. Get me," it read. The officers moved up to the second floor, and there, in the master bedroom, was their crime scene. 42-year-old Antonio Armstrong Sr. and his wife, 42-year-old Dawn Armstrong, were lying on their backs in their bed, surrounded by blood. Both had been shot at close range through pillows that had been placed on their heads.
We back.
Shell casings from a .22 caliber handgun were found on the floor. Dawn was deceased, but Antonio was still alive. He was taken away by ambulance as investigators continued searching the rest of the house.
Penmanship.
It was a peculiar scene. In the study, just outside the master bedroom, they noticed a bullet hole in the ceiling. And when they went up to the third floor, which was a loft where AJ's room was, they saw the other end of that bullet hole on the ground, covered by a pile of socks.
What's up, Vardis?
Also of interest to the investigators was an area of what looked like burned carpeting in the second floor landing.
Yeah,
one investigator, Sergeant John Harelica, would later say that by this point, he was already starting to get a feeling that perhaps there hadn't been an intruder. There were no signs of forced entry anywhere in the home, no broken doors or windows, and the alarm system had been set to go off if any had been opened. He told the officers outside the home to separate AJ and his sister. Perhaps, he thought, the killer had come from the inside. This is Jillian, and you are listening to Court Junkie, episode 75.
To you, unfortunately, it's things that's got to stay internal for now. But once we get more updates, we'll be able to get with you guys.
Were the kids able to tell you, hey, we think someone did this? I mean, are they able to give any information that's helpful?
Again, I can't give you that information right now. Like I said, I don't want to compromise the investigation. So
He reiterated that there were no signs of forced entry.
So no sign of forced entry into the house, though?
There was not any sign of forced entry at this point.
Any sign of some type of scuffle in the bedroom, or...
No.
There was just no. I mean, everything looked like it was in place. So that's what we're trying to follow up on and figure out. So that's where we are right now.
We've been told by several people this is a big crime scene. What do you mean? What does that mean?
It just means that it's just got a lot of moving parts to it is all. That's all that means. It's not necessarily like a large geographic crime scene. It's just a large crime scene in that it entails a lot of evidence collection, a lot of things like that. And so that's why it's so time consuming.
He said some of the family's relatives had come to the house and that they had been interviewed about the background of the family.
Any prior domestic situations between this couple?
Absolutely not. This was an outstanding family. The male in the family was an absolute hardworking breadwinner. He's an associate pastor in the area at a church that I'm not sure of. He's a great guy. And the family, the mother was apparently a great mother.
He was a football player.
Members. And like I said, it was kind of the all-American family. And that's why we're trying to do our best to get down to what's going on in this household and figure out, who our suspects are, so we can button this up for people.
Okay, but again, you can't confirm that this was a murder-suicide or not.
I can't. I don't know at this time. Once I figure that out, I'll let y'all know.
After investigator Dodson walked away, one of the reporters could be heard saying, "It's weird." Back at the police station, AJ was read his rights and then questioned by Sergeant Kenneth Dagnall and investigator Jimmy Dodson. By this time, it was just after 7:45 in the morning. The first few questions were about the Armstrong's family dynamics. AJ told the officers that he and his father were close and that he and his siblings had some issues with their mom, but that it was nothing big, just family stuff. In addition to AJ and his 14-year-old sister, Kara, there was a third sibling too, their older adopted brother named Josh. Josh was 20 years old and no longer lived in the Armstrong house, although he did live nearby. AJ said that Josh and his mom were like identical people. AJ was then asked about what he saw and heard. He told the officers that he hadn't been feeling well that day and that he, his parents, and his sister were all in the house by 9 p.m.
I gotta know.
At around 1 or 2 a.m., he said he heard his parents' door open, which would typically mean that one of them was getting up to get a snack. So he went downstairs to the second floor so he could ask whichever one it was for some medicine. That's when he heard 2 gunshots and saw a man wearing a mask running away. He turned around and ran back upstairs to hide in his closet and call 911.
About to add some more emojis.
He said his dad owned a gun, but that he himself had only used it once at a gun range when he was 8 years old. Sergeant Dagnall asked him about that bullet hole in the ceiling of the study that matched a hole on the floor of AJ's room. AJ asked, "There's a bullet hole in the ceiling?" Sergeant Dagnall said yes, that it looked like it was a fresh bullet hole. And AJ then told him that he had touched the gun a few weeks prior.
Bullshittery.
He said he had been playing around with it and that he had laid a pillow and blanket over it to stop the bullet when he fired, but that instead it shot through the pillow and blanket and into the floor. But AJ swore that he never touched the gun the night before. Sergeant Dagnall wasn't believing him and asked how an intruder would have had time to leave the gun on the kitchen counter, write a note, and then get out before police arrived. AJ agreed that it was odd and said he didn't understand how the intruder could have gotten out or how he could have even gotten into the house for that matter. Sergeant Dagnall then asked about a statement AJ had made on the 911 call.
Y'all need to hear the friggin' closing argument bad.
How at one point he had said, "It's all my fault." AJ said that what he had meant was that he had felt guilty for not doing anything about the intruder when he saw him. But again, the investigators didn't believe him. Investigator Dodson insisted that no one came into the home that night and then pointed to AJ's calm demeanor even though his mother was dead and his father was in critical condition. AJ responded that he had been crying earlier, but that his brother Josh had calmed him down. Regarding the burn mark on the second floor stairway, AJ said that it was something that he and his dad had argued about, that he had been playing with a match a few days earlier and that the carpet had caught on fire. He said he had lied to his dad at first, but then they had talked about it and worked it out.
I'll tell you 1 second. The state that this is in Texas. AJ allegedly killed his parents. Like I said, he's going on third trial. They just filed for a change of venue like 2 days ago.
That when they do have problems, they always sit down and solve them. Sergeant Dagnall asked AJ if they would find any gunshot residue on his hands and clothes, and AJ said no. There will be no gunpowder. Nothing like that will come back on me. I had nothing to do with this, he said. He said his brother Josh had even told him that his story didn't make any sense. He told them that he understands how it...
So the jury selection for this next trial, it says, and this was recently filed actually, by the way, Johnson ordered jury selection to begin February 24th with the trial starting March 20th. So the trial will start in March, but they're getting the jury pool together now.
It wasn't. But despite his denials, AJ was arrested and charged with murder. But because he was only 16 years old at the time, he was taken to Harris County Juvenile, and his identity was kept a secret from the media. Not long after AJ's arrest, Antonio Sr. passed away from his injuries. Attorney Rick DeToto said, Antonio Armstrong and family, our hearts and prayers are with you.
I'm not familiar
Since Antonio had succumbed to his injuries, AJ's charges were upgraded to capital murder. In Texas, capital murder is reserved for certain types of homicides, such as the killing of more than one person at the same time. But nearly everyone who knew AJ and who knew the Armstrong family were standing behind him. At his first hearing, AJ stood in front of the court wearing a green prison-issued jumpsuit. The judge told him he was facing some very serious charges. Surrounding AJ were at least a dozen family members, including Antonio's mother, who was there to show her support. AJ's attorney, Rick DeToto, spoke to reporters afterwards. He's a great kid from a good family. There's absolutely no motive. It doesn't make sense, he said. Not long after the hearing, a Facebook page run by the family was started.
That's true.
A page that asked the community to join them in trying to free AJ. A week after Antonio and...
Yeah, that's another thing. That note should have been compared to their handwriting. Absolutely. I agree.
Dawn were killed. A funeral was held for them, and AJ was allowed to attend. Close to 3,000 people showed up for the service. AJ was denied bail and remained in custody at the Juvenile Detention Center. But in March 2017, 8 months later, a judge decided that AJ would stand trial as an adult.
Okay, so hold up. I got a question. I don't know for anybody who knows in here, but could I play that video on a different screen and just play the audio to the closing arguments?
Oh, my God.
What are they going to suspend the stream again if I play the closing arguments? Because you guys need to hear the evidence on the other side. That's what you need to hear. If I play it on my other monitor and not have it up over here, I'm sure it might go through.
His name was released to the public. He was transferred to the Harris County Jail, and he was now facing life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years if convicted. The death penalty wasn't applicable because he had been a juvenile at the time the murders occurred. According to the order, the court took many factors into consideration when making the decision to try him as an adult. Some of the testimony that had been presented by the prosecution had to do with AJ's prior behavior. AJ had reportedly been removed from his private school due to poor grades and was enrolled in a public school as a result. There, he didn't make the starting roster for football as he had at his private school. He had also gotten into trouble with his parents for smoking marijuana, And just prior to their deaths, Antonio and Dawn had reportedly...
Okay, so let's do it this way then. Let's try it. I don't care. I'm willing to try it. Closing arguments in the case, right? We were just playing that. Literally. So let's see if it'll let us play the... Because it has it by defense, too. Because you guys need to hear the evidence. That's what you need to hear, in my honest opinion. It says full video. Okay, that's the one we were just playing. Defense. That's on a different channel. All right, here it is. Fuck it, let's try it.
Automobile that he'd like to have the Escalade above that. I don't think that you can walk away from the defense that the state has. Antonio Armstrong Sr.
All right, here, listen.
As the person
Can you hear
the crime. Much has been made of this. This is the judge's law. It is because, as a precautionary measure, if one of the jurors believes that there may have been others involved, from whatever support you find in the evidence, but that the defendant encouraged it or aided it, that he is guilty of the offense. It is a precautionary charge to aid you in your deliberation. Page 3. It's often called the application paragraph.
It should.
It's where we apply the facts to the law. It sets forth the elements of the offense. Now, if you find beyond a reasonable doubt that on or about the 29th of July 2016, the defendant Antonio Armstrong Jr. did then and there unlawfully during the same criminal transaction intentionally or knowingly cause the death of Antonio Armstrong Sr. by shooting Antonio Armstrong Sr. with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, and intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Dawn Armstrong by shooting Dawn Armstrong with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm. It goes on to give the other definitions of what we have. In this, you will, as we go back to voir dire, not see that the state has to provide motive.
So, I mean, for the people who know this case in here, that know the A.J. Armstrong case, I just want to see what you think. Guilty or not guilty, and why?
Motive is not an issue in this case.
Allegedly.
I would suggest to you that how could it possibly be something that we could accomplish to show what the motive is beyond a reasonable doubt? It just doesn't make sense to show what the why is. The why for the unthinkable. There may be many different reasons, but it is impossible to tell you, to talk to you about why the unthinkable occurs. It is enough for the jury to understand that it is simply not an element of the case. It is human nature, however, to want to know why.
No, they can try him until he's acquitted, or they got a conviction in general. They can keep trying him over and over again until, if he's found not guilty, they can't try. He could walk out the courtroom and said, "Yeah, I killed him." Literally.
In everyday life, we want to know the why. I slammed my fingers in a car door. It hurt. Why does it hurt? Because I slammed my fingers in the door. I'm going to have to be careful of that. It's just part of being human. But it is not something that we have to prove in this case. And yes, it is correct. There has been a substantial amount of time spent trying to focus and trying to explain to the jury what the motives might be, what they are. Was it that the defendant was falling from his very high spot as the big man on campus? Was it his daily drug use or his drug dealing, as his grandmother indicated? Not even upon questioning, well, if AJ did it, It's drug related.
You
Maybe
guys,
it's not being able to play ball with that other private school that has the coach that can get him into the big schools.
okay, you guys are the jury right now. You're listening to the closing argument. Now, I wish I could show you the part that you need to see the most, but
And he's upset about that.
birthday.
Maybe it's his constant lying and being called on the carpet for it by his parents. Maybe it was the massive trust fund that he'd have access to. And no, I don't think it is unlinked that he is talking over the phone about what kind of luxury automobile that he'd like to have the Escalade above that. I don't think that you can walk away from that. These are submitted as ideas and suggestions on motive that we do not have to prove,
I have to find the date, kid.
but we feel like it was important to get that out to you so that you could better understand the facts of this case.
Yeah, there was no gunshot residue on his hand, but there was gunshot residue on his shirt. And a week ago, allegedly a week before, he had him and his friend took his dad's gun out and shot it. So
We cannot open up the defendant's head, look in there and say, oh, you see, there's the motive. We are not judging a person. We are judging conduct. We are
we'll catch
focused
up
on
on it
conduct
fast.
that is to be proved only by a reasonable doubt. As you go through page 3 and the application paragraph, you're going to go through in each and every one of these elements. And you're going to find different things. The date,
Yeah,
July 29th, that's not really an
like
issue.
we.
There's no dispute on that. That a firearm was used, that it's Dawn or Antonio Sr. that were killed by the firearm, that a deadly weapon was used. The thing at contention is Antonio Armstrong Jr., the identity. Is he the one that did this ugly killing? That is what you will focus on. And I don't think it's appropriate to waste time on other things. You can just get right to it and try to break that down. One of the things that I find important in my many years of doing this job, and I have earned every gray hair I have, is what a lawyer doesn't say.
Third trial.
What do they not comment on? And I'm going to call it the upstairs where a week before, and we have what I'm going to call the practice shot. The practice shot that he initially lied about. Did Josh do a practice shot? No. This defendant is up in his bedroom with the gun, and he fires it through the comforter, pillow. How loud will it be? Will it wake my sister?
Okay, so what he actually just shown the pillow. He pulled the pillow out and showed it.
Upstairs, where a week or two before, and we have what I'm going to call the practice shot.
He took the comforter and shot through
Practice
it.
shot that he initially lied about. Did Josh do a practice shot? No. This defendant is up in his bedroom with the gun, and he fires it through the comforter, pillow. How loud will it be? Will it wake my sister up? You cannot ignore this.
AJ looked without a soul in that photo.
Here's another fitting in with the theme. I've set a fire. Let me put it out. Let me use this pillow to put it out. Are we starting to see a theme here? from things that the defendant has admitted to.
The
Let's
last
keep
one.
on going. The killing. Again, pillows involved. Are these Josh's pillows? No. You cannot walk away from your own good common sense as you go through this. In the upstairs, you know he's putting thought to it. In the iPad associated to him, how to do a car bomb, how to make a car bomb. His mind is working on this evil. And I've seen a lot of evil in my days.
How to make
But
a car
I tell you,
bomb?
ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Hold up. Did they just say he was searching? Hold on. I got to replay that because that's important. Was he searching how to make a car bomb?
And I've seen a lot of evil in my days. But I tell you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's the evil you don't see coming that is the worst evil of all.
I need to hear that statement, dude. Hold up.
Tell you how to do a car bomb, how to make a car.
Yeah, right here.
In the upstairs, you know he's putting thought to it. In the iPad associated to him,
Let's try list
how
that.
to do a car bomb, how to make a car bomb. His mind is working on this evil. And I've seen a lot of evil in my days. But I tell you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's the evil you don't see coming that is the worst evil of all. Something was made of the gunshot residue. The ammo in here does not issue gunshot. This is Defendant's Exhibit 14. This is what the defense showed you. There's a gun going off. It's demonstrative. It shows a huge cloud of smoke. And of course, what we have here is, hey, look at that from the defense. We have a lot of gun smoke going. This is not in fairness. It's just demonstrative in nature.
I had to show
But
that.
all this gun smoke, there must be gunshot residue, and there is none. And it was all very important
Yeah, allegedly.
until we learned that his hands are almost incredibly immaculate and clear. The gunshot residue, of course, but of something like lead. And the other elements consisted. None. How is that possible? When you have this big cloud of smoke,
Mm-hmm.
and then you look at it and you study more, that these elements show up on his clothing, on his shirt. Oh, and wait, there's more. The concentration is on the right side, and he has indicated to the officer, Jimmy James, that he is right-handed. Practice shots. And incidentally, from the practice shot, the testimony is, if you look at all the evidence, the last person with the murder weapon is the defendant in this case, up until the murder. Oh my God! There's no other indication that it went anywhere else. 13, 14, and 15.
I would show the video, but they'll
These are
freaking cut the stream off again.
Bullets that were retrieved from the bodies of the deceased. Lead. Just like what's on his shirt, just like what is not missing.
They'll cut it off.
Not missing.
They already ended my last stream. I was playing it with the video on, and they friggin' ended it. Stupid.
There's been something made of Josh about this. Josh is not blood. Josh is adopted.
He was adopted.
The kindness of these two people. Taking him like a true son. But he is different. He knows he's different. The defense has subpoena power,
127.
just like the state. If he could help the defendant in this situation, don't you know that it's an aggressive defense, that there would have been.
All right. Staying the record.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, I need a little bit on my check.
All right, sustained.
That's the jury disregard the prosecutor's last.
Ladies and gentlemen, please disregard the last statement made by the prosecutor.
I moved for retrial, Your Honor.
So rabbit trail. Do not fall for the rabbit trails.
Speed his ass up. He's slow. I had to speed him up.
Let's talk about Josh.
Let's talk about Josh.
The discarded job picked up by these two great people. They get in. He had mental illness. But don't you know that that is a great scapegoat? You don't think, of course, that the defendant in this case is not above throwing his own siblings under the bus. What did he do when he started the fire? He
Gasoline.
blamed it on his sister. Here we go again. Let's talk about Josh. So mentally ill that he put a towel in the oven and started a fire. There was no damage, but there was a lot of smoke. Is he capable of coming in, undermining, and tricking a sophisticated burglar alarm system in the depths?
Oh damn! They actually have the dad's pictures up with the shot right in his head. That's fucked up.
Of his depression or his illness? Get up there, conduct an execution right through the head. How about this Don's injuries? That's a double tap right behind the ear. That is precision killing. That is instant death, according to the doctor's testimony. What rabbit trail do you want to find? I submit to you that that is a ridiculous thing, and you should not fall for that.
Gasoline was found in his bedroom. What's going on, everybody?
One of the
Welcome.
parts of the trial was when the defendant's girlfriend took the stand, and I think all of our hearts, I know, our heart went out to her when she had to admit, I'm just kept along for the trial. Just being used.
Really, Melissa?
Please, ladies and gentlemen,
That's
do
crazy.
not be just used. Do not be manipulated by the master manipulator who blames other things. Look at all of the evidence. Look at all of the consistencies. Look at the practice shot. Come to the right conclusion in this case. The defendant is guilty of this offense. Thank you very much for your time. I reserve the rest of my time for my partners.
Good afternoon. Let's start with all the evidence I brought forward to you guys, which is the evidence that defense attacked as being irrelevant, teenage, foolishness, being in love, the painful text messages I had put all of you through.
Hell no.
But isn't this the only time we've actually heard
Yeah, no.
Don and Antonio Sr.'s voice?
Melissa, so am I.
Aren't text messages just another form of communication? And now with modern technology, we have tens of thousands of pages of communications between the complainants in this case and the defendant. Wouldn't that be important for us to know what was going on in the lives of these people? Not family members who have been coached, who have had time to be updated on what's going on the stand during a trial for someone that they love, but in real time, before the murders even happened. Wouldn't that be important for us to know? But is it necessary and needed? No.
Yeah.
We don't have police officers,
you need
Officer Dagnall saying, well, he definitely did it, but I don't know why. So let's go get his phone records.
How's
We
it
don't
going,
need that.
Violet?
Is it important? Yes. Because what do
Welcome,
we see?
Anita. This government.
What does the timeline show? And mind you, the timeline is really moving backwards. A murder has happened. We have arrested someone. We have probable cause. And standing here today, after the state has put on its entire case, the defendant is guilty. Let's move backwards and see, okay, he killed his parents. What was going on in the months and weeks and days beforehand? Well, we start in October 2015. Son, you can do this. We believe in you. You got to bring up your grades. You can do this.
What up, Johnny?
We go into, and then he gets a car, a brand new car. Then we get into January. You're lying to us. February. You're starting to lie to us. March, April, May. It gets more somber. And you know what? I don't care if you guys looked at all the text messages. I brought these to court. I'm not scared of them. It is within context. They're still allowed to joke and laugh in between the fact that he's constantly getting grounded. He got his brand new Mustang taken away from him. Can't see his girlfriend. Gets kicked out of Kincaid, where all his friends are. Junior year. Parents aren't doing anything about it. They're not fighting for him to go to St. Pius, where he can be a star again. All these are life changes going on. And we're looking at this going backwards, which means if we were going forwards, we'd be able to predict who's going to kill their parents, right? Oh, he's smoking weed. He's going to kill his parents. Oh, he got grounded, got kicked out. No, that's not how it works. This is about this defendant, not every teenager that's smoking weed, blowing money, or anything like that. No, it's about him and what was going on in his life and what was important to him. So now we're at the days and weeks beforehand, the iPad. We know that, and this is concrete evidence. This is, like I said, his family, they're always going to fight for him. But that's why this evidence is so important.
I'm doing good.
On the 26th, he lit the house on fire. And we know that that's when it happened.
That's normal.
Isn't it? Does it mean every kid that pours gasoline at the top of the stairs of his house when his parents are there and his sister's with his grandma, does that mean that they're going to end up killing their parents? Not everyone. But isn't it telling that this is just a few days beforehand? So he gets his phone taken away. We know he gets his phone taken away. It's there. So he doesn't have a phone. He has an iPad. Not Josh. The defendant has an iPad on his floor. What does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean anything, right? Nope. Guess what? We have records. It means he logged in with his Apple ID on the 27th, on the morning of the 27th, on the morning after he tried to light his house on fire.
What up, replay crew?
And looked up how do you rig a car so that it explodes when it's turned on? Okay, we all have crazy things in our phone, right? We watch forensic files. We're going to Google something. Does that mean if I Google something crazy that I'm going to kill my parents? No. We are looking backwards at what was going on in this person's life. Okay, so trying to light the house on fire, got my phone taken away. I'm on my iPad looking at this, and at some point, I'm shooting my father's gun through the floor of my bedroom and then covering up with socks. And I encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, please do. I'm glad this is an evidence. Go through it. You will see a lot more. You'll see Kyra's text messages in here. You'll see Josh's text messages here. And you know what you see? By July 10th, AJ was trying to spend the night at Josh's house. Josh was in his apartment already. So all these clothes and iPads and all this stuff in the room, it's the defendants. What you'll see, I think, July 18th, somewhere around there, Kyra wants to go to the movies. Well, AJ's already seen this movie. Josh texts and says, I'll take you this Saturday. They're all having happy conversations.
He didn't have
I don't see any indication that Josh is
either.
mentally ill in any of the evidence that I've looked at. And the defense told you that there'd be evidence for the past 3 years that Josh is mentally ill. We don't have that here. This is what we have. Where's that evidence that we were going to see? That Josh is having all these mental health problems, homicidal thoughts before the murder? Go look at the messages. Because it's communication. It's who this family was and what was going on. So now we get to the day of the murder. I didn't make you guys go through all of it, but please do spend all the time you want. And
Wish
you'll
you could actually
that this
see
was
the
not
trial.
a happy individual on the day of the murder. He was not. He was grounded. He couldn't drive the car. His girlfriend was out partying. He wanted to be with her. He wanted to be anywhere else but home watching Netflix all day. Kyra texted him around 8 o'clock. Can you come get me? Go look at the messages. I can't. Mom said I can't drive. Kyra gets permission for him to drive. He's also texting Josh. Josh is working and in school at the time, and also telling the defendant, I can't let you take the Mustang. You drive so crazy, and mom and dad said no. Does that sound like a protective older brother that's trying to do the right thing? Or does it sound like a homicidal guy that's about to just go crazy and commit these murders? And we won't let Mr. Brewer get into the fact that it's physically impossible. But what's going on here? We have someone whose freedom is restricted.
I slowed her down.
Who is failing out of school, losing focus, can't drive, now has to go pick up his sister. And the reason why I bring this up is that is when he had the conversation with his girlfriend. And so it was a lie that she heard his parents laughing in the background. It didn't happen. Go look at the records. It never happened.
Nope.
That text message that caused him to go have a bonding moment with his father, that never happened.
Appreciate it. Not familiar with this case.
It's our burden. We've brought you the evidence. We've brought you additional evidence. If you think that we're going to bring family members, I mean, this is a family on family, worse than that, a son, junior, killing a senior, and we're going to parade their family in, put them on the stand, and make them feel uncomfortable and potentially lie. We don't have to do that. We have our evidence. I don't need to put cousin Trenton, Josh,
thank you, Gina,
who apparently is having some problems after the murder. I'd be a little bit torn up too if my sister just blew away my parents, but not before. Are we going to bring Kyra? No, we didn't bring any family members. But after the defense brought her, and it was clear that she was coached, manipulated, no emotion, we had to show you what was going on. And so we had
it's regular speed now.
And we showed you the matriarch of the family. And this is nothing against them because, look, that's her son that died. And this is her grandson. They're going to do whatever it takes. But at the end of the day, this is capital murder. This is what was going on in this defendant's life. And the rest of the evidence shows he is guilty.
Sounds like a spoiled brat who wasn't getting his way like the Mendez brothers. Oh my God! Damn. Bingo.
It's a very simple concept. This is another way of describing common sense. Don't believe that ghosts and phantoms and mysterious goblins or anybody else did something when your common sense tells you exactly what happened.
He shot a gun in his room, bullet entering his parents' room.
This is a little more specific. Oh my God! It's another way of saying common sense. Use your common sense and you will get to the solution.
I mean, drop a 1 in the chat if you think he killed his parents. Allegedly.
So, unfortunately, trials involve lawyers sometimes. And different lawyers have different ways of doing their jobs. And one thing that lawyers try to do is they try to maintain their credibility. And that's so that we can stand up at the end and get you to agree with us. Vote our way. And credibility is a very important element in every trial. It's not really about the lawyers, though. It's more about the credibility of the witnesses. But at some point, you have to use your common sense. And at some point, you've just got to decide whether one side was BSing you or not. And that's why it's important to maintain your credibility. So, do you have that sheet that you put on?
To read.
You got a sheet of paper?
Common sense isn't very common. That's the truth.
So I wanted to use this because this is the defense exhibit. Okay? So we didn't have to worry about it being inaccurate at all. Okay. So there's a couple issues about Mr. Collins putting this up there. Okay, so first of all, they want to tell us that the alarm doesn't work. How about that? Yeah, he's showing us where the alarm was set. Okay, and he's using the times here. Using the times here where
my 3 trials,
exactly. Where the alarm was disarmed.
The other end.
He's using those in his argument.
All right, so like I said, the first trial was 8-4, 8 guilty, 4 not guilty. Second trial, 8 not guilty, and then the other 4 were guilty. So it's been the opposite every time. The first trial, like I said, it was 8 guilty, 4 not guilty, and then this last trial, as far as I know and what I've seen, was 8 guilty or 8 not guilty and 4 guilty. So it switched on the next one. So I wonder what this next trial is going to be like. I don't know. I'm just confused with it now.
And so, which is it? Is the alarm working?
I really want to know.
Because that's what your argument was when you put the sheet of paper up. Or is the alarm broken? Now, there's also there's something else about this particular set of facts. So, remember, this is a theme throughout the story. You would hear something out of the defendant's mouth, or you would hear a story about what the defendant did, and you would think, wow, okay, that's really believable. Like, remember when he told you he hadn't touched the gun? It sounded really convincing. And then you found out that was a lie. And then remember when he said out of his own mouth, remember when he talked about the fire and how he, his dad got on him and, and they worked it out. And then you found out that was a lie. Remember he said that he dropped the match. He told his dad he dropped the match and the carpet caught on fire accidentally. And him and his dad worked it out. And at the time you were listening to that, remember thinking to yourself, okay, well, that doesn't make him a double murderer. He explained it. And then you heard about, oops, the carpet had gasoline on it. And the gasoline came from the alcohol bottle in the defendant's room. And at that time, you probably didn't have an opportunity to think.
This is in Texas.
How did he get gasoline into the alcohol bottle? Well, of course, he had to plan. He had to go to the gas station or go to a gas can of some type and transfer it into the rubbing alcohol bottle. And why would you do that? If you just needed gasoline, you could just use the can. Well, because you don't want anybody to know that you have gasoline in the rubbing alcohol bottle that he then poured on the carpet. And see, when you heard his original story, you thought that's a reasonable explanation. But what you didn't know is he is a manipulator. He is a liar. And he doesn't have any problems looking you in the eye, looking a police officer in the eye, looking his father in the eye, looking his mother in the eye, and lying to them. Looking his girlfriend in the eye and lying to her. So, credibility matters. And so one of the things the defendant said was, you heard the defense describe it through the text. And Ms. Roach made a very good point. This is the real life. This is real life. This isn't what they said happened. This isn't what we said happened. This is what the victims said happened and what the defendant said. And in this, he tells the story. You probably remember when Kate Ober was on the stand. She was saying, this boy said something harsh to me. Okay, well, yeah, it apparently was about oral sex. And it just impressed her so much that the defendant went and had a conversation with his dad about what to do. And right about that time, you probably had that same feeling of, wow, okay, reasonable reaction. You were believing it, weren't you? And then the defense believed it too. Okay. You weren't the only ones. If you believed it, you weren't the only ones that were fooled. Okay. The defense attorneys bought off on it too.
Nah, this is how we're gonna do this. We're doing this differently. We need a little bit of spice. You know what I mean? Hold up, I got some spice to throw on there. Let's go ahead and go here, because I'm I'm over it. I need a little bit of. My wife needs to spend some time with me, and it's just
Phone with the 911 dispatcher. Earlier, he heard gunfire. Timestamp.
Dead, shot to death in their own bed, in their own home. What happened? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. First of all, take a listen to this.
5314 Palmetto Street. Timestamp 1:40 a.m. the morning of July 29th, 2016. Inside, a seemingly scared Antonio Armstrong Jr. on the phone with a 911 dispatcher, claiming minutes earlier he heard gunfire. Any medical attention needed? Asked the dispatcher. Yes, replied the then 16-year-old. Video recorded later that morning by a crime scene unit investigator for the Houston Police Department traces the trail to the second-floor master bedroom, the place where Antonio Armstrong Sr. and wife Dawn were shot. Both died.
He played football for Texas A&M before joining the Miami Dolphins as a linebacker. We featured his wife Dawn in a news story a few years ago, talking about a quilt she was making for her son going off to college. Since the news of the double shooting broke this morning, Antonio's Facebook page is filling up with comments from friends saying they just can't believe what has happened to this family. And we also know Antonio coached the Southwest Football League here for more than a decade. We will certainly keep you updated on his condition. Right now, he is fighting to stay alive.
You are hearing our friends at KPRC and KTRK covering the shootings at the time they happened. Antonio Armstrong, a superstar. Did fame have anything to do with the murder of him and his wife? Joining me in an all-star panel, but first to Dave Mack, crimeonline.com investigative reporter. For those people that don't know who Antonio Armstrong was, fill us in.
Antonio Armstrong, Nancy, was the all-American guy. He played football at Texas A&M. He was good enough to be drafted into the NFL and spent time with the San Francisco 49ers and then a number of years with the Miami Dolphins. This was a guy that people said, what a good man. But on top of the athletics, Nancy, he was into fitness, healthy eating, a healthy lifestyle. He also was the associate pastor at his mother's home church. So all week long, he worked with youth coaching football. He gave motivational speeches and put things on YouTube about living a healthy life, being healthy inside and out. And then on the weekends, he's over at church and he's, again, in a leadership position there. So all-American, good guy, and a natural-born leader.
And a happy family. You know, Karen Stark joining me, renowned psychologist joining us out of Manhattan at KarenStark.com. That's Karen with a C. Karen, you and I talked about this so many times. I've investigated and prosecuted, put plenty of dope dealers away, drug lords, child molesters, you name it. But it always especially hurts when you see a great person, just good-natured, innocent, hardworking, dedicated, this guy devoted to his family. It hurts when you see a really great person. You know, the good people in the world just cut down, mowed down.
And that's exactly where that comes from, Nancy, this idea of, only the good die young. It's this idea that this guy, everybody talks about what a great family, how wonderful he was. And that makes it just devastating to think that he's killed like that.
And another thing, did you hear what the mother was doing? The mother was hand quilting a quilt for her son to take away to college. It reminds me of my little niece when her little brother was going to college. His favorite team is the Braves, and she hand quilted him a quilt made out of all the Braves, logos and the team member numbers and just anything to do with the Braves. It took her forever to do that. And here's the mom, just out of love, quilting a quilt for the son to take away to college. I mean, they're dedicated parents. And he's also a football star. What more do we know about the family? Take a listen to our friends at Crime Online.
Dawn and Antonio Armstrong, their 18-year marriage was the all-American dream. The couple was raising 3.
I don't know, guys. Was this a happy family? Allegedly, they took his Mustang away. They were grounding him. He was getting in trouble. Did he get mad and do this, or was it his brother? Because the defense pinned it on his brother.
Bright, outgoing, and accomplished children. They were savvy entrepreneurs owning a small chain of local gyms. At one time, Antonio Armstrong was a respected football player. He played for Texas A&M in college and went on to play for the Miami Dolphins. Alongside running the gyms, Armstrong was a motivational speaker and an assistant pastor.
Oh, you were talking about the Doug Wilson lady that called in about the Idaho 4, the Doug Wilson. I know where that is. I actually have that in a playlist. The video on that dude. He allegedly runs a cult in a church, like near WSU or whatever.
At his mother's church. Dawn, in addition to help running the businesses, spends a lot of time volunteering or driving her children to their various sports practices. Dawn Armstrong's family always came first, and it showed on her Facebook page, which was filled with beach vacations, cars, and exclusive private school life for her kids.
A lot of their family life, the motivational speaking, their community service, just a really loving family is featured even on YouTube. Take a listen to our friends at KTRK.
Everyone we've spoken to has described this family as all-American, a loving family. I want to show you Antonio Armstrong. He ran this gym in Bel Air. It's called First Class Training. He ran it with his wife, Dawn. She was a business partner of his. Now, according to sources, she died in this morning's shooting.
Hello, everyone.
Antonio is known for advocating health and fitness. He is also a motivational speaker. These are videos he made on YouTube. The latest one was posted just this last week.
Straight out to Dave Mack joining us from crimeonline.com. Dave, tell me about the neighborhood and tell me about the shootings. Were they both in the same bed? Were they in the master bedroom? How many times were they shot? Anything you can tell me about the facts?
All right, here we go. It's an upscale neighborhood, Nancy. It's a townhome. We're talking about a 3-story townhome. The bedroom where Antonio and Dawn were shot is on the 2nd floor. They were both in bed and they were both shot in the head. Again, it's a quiet upscale neighborhood. I don't know how much you know about Houston, but Houston in this particular area is a well-to-do section of town. It's not a townhome like, an apartment complex that you would see near a university. This is one of those expensive upscale townhomes. And again, it's 3 stories. Their bedroom was on the 2nd floor, as was their daughter's.
Another thing about the townhomes, they're connected. Now, I'm saying that, his unit is actually connected to another unit. And that is significant to me. And I'm going to go to you, James Shelnut, joining me. 27 years on Metro, major case, including SWAT, now lawyer at the Shelnut firm. When you have a crime like this double murder go down in a home, 2nd floor, in connected condos, that greatly reduces your points of entry. 2 whole sides of the dwelling are unattainable. So you've really only got the bottom door and the bottom back door. Nobody is scaling up the side of the condos to break into a window. That reduces your points of entry, and that's significant.
Oh, I agree 100%. And that reduces the possibilities of people who would have access to that apartment also, or that townhome.
Also joining me, Jonathan T. Gilliam, former FBI special agent, former Navy SEAL, author of Sheep Know More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival on Amazon. Jonathan Gilliam, thank you for being with us.
You got it.
Both of them shot in the head. Shot in the head. That tells me both of them were asleep, and that's the mark of a hitman is an execution style killing.
Well, shot in the head in their bed. So next to actually stabbing someone, I would say that this is potentially a sign of a more personal attack. Somebody that was actually in their room while they were sleeping and took the time to shoot each one in the head and end their life in such a personal manner. There were other people in that house that were not targeted. So we know that these two people, that word targeted gets used so much. But I think in this case, because, we know that the son was awake because he's the one who called 911. There was nobody else was touched in that house. So to me, when I hear that somebody is shot in their head, in their bed while they sleep, that's a very personal, targeted attack.
Guys, take a listen to our friends at KPRC.
On the phone with 911, the couple's son, Junior or AJ, appeared confused, panicked while answering questions. The dispatcher asks if medical attention was needed in AJ's parents' bedroom. AJ responded, yes, and their door is cracked open. Later, the dispatcher asks if gunshots AJ heard sound like a handgun, rifle, or shotgun. I'm not good with guns, AJ replies, but I guess like I don't know, 15 or something like that. I know my dad has a gun underneath the... God, where does he keep his gun? AJ asks aloud, eventually saying, I think he keeps it in the drawer right next to his bed.
Dave Mack, how many times were they shot?
Nancy, Dawn was shot twice in the head, and Antonio was shot once.
Okay, Lisa Daddio joining me, former police lieutenant, New Haven PD. Jump in, Lisa.
I agree with what's been said so far. We have something so personal in someone's home, twice to the mom's head, which is obviously a little concerning. I wonder why that was, and only once to, the husband's father's head. And, when you see something so personal and so violent happen to the face.
What about Kim? Kim, what? What do we need to talk to Kim about?
The head, you have to agree that it's more of a personal in nature type of crime perpetrated by someone that knows the victims.
I gotta know. I got to know. I found your name. Your name was on the list, by the way. I took it off.
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. For those of you just joining us, an NFL star and his wife murdered in their own bed, seemingly execution style. Joining me, Professor of Forensics, Jacksonville State University, and author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, Joe Scott Morgan. What do you make of the fact the mom was shot twice and the dad shot once?
Well, if the individual that did the attack was aware of the fact that this gentleman, the father, is in bed, and he is a former NFL player, he's a fitness guy, he would be the first target, I would think, because that's the biggest threat. And so once that weapon is initiated, once that round goes off and puts him down, the mother may have awoken at that point in time. And in the confusion or in the attempt to end her life, she was shot twice, Nancy, to take her down in that moment because she was aware that there was gunfire going on. Even if she's in a deep sleep, she's going to wake up and, she's finished off at that moment.
Listen to more from Crime Online.
At 9:40 a.m., Antonio Armstrong Jr., AJ, calls 911. He tells the operator that he is hiding in a closet in his room on the third floor after hearing gunshots in his parents' room. Armstrong is on the phone with police for 16 minutes until 1:56. He tells the operator that the only people in the home are himself, his parents, and his younger sister. His parents and the sister are on the second floor. Armstrong says no one is on the first floor. Armstrong is heard on the 911 call waking up his sister. They go downstairs and AJ Armstrong turns off the security alarm as the...
So basically LS is just saying, she's saying with that Kim and all that other shit is a... Get the fuck out of here! Situation.
Police enter the front door. Dawn and Antonio were shot in the head while they slept.
Okay, wait a minute. I think that I'm just hearing that he turned off the security alarm to allow police in. So this double murder goes down while the security system is intact. Take a listen to our friends at KTRK.
Her father was carried out of the family's townhome on a stretcher. Kayra was in the house asleep in her second floor bedroom when her parents were shot in their room on the same floor a few feet away. The night before the murders, she went to bed around 11 p.m. after hugging her mom and dad and setting the house alarm. The next thing she remembers was AJ waking her up, telling her to come with him downstairs. AJ says she was half asleep, could barely process what was happening. She was separated from AJ, put in a cop car, her hands bagged, and tested for gunshot residue.
Okay, what does that mean, to test for gunshot residue? James Shelnut, weigh in.
Well, when a weapon is fired, when a gun is fired, the way that it fires is some type of firing pin strikes a shell or casing that has powder in it, black powder. It ignites that powder and it pushes the bullet, called the projectile, out the end of the gun. Well, from that powder igniting, it leaves residue. Just like if you were to hold your hand over smoke outside over the fire pit, it would leave residue. And there are wipes that contain certain chemicals that will detect the presence of that gunshot powder residue on fingers, hands, and even objects.
Okay, joining me, Joe Scott Morgan from Jacksonville State University, forensics expert. Explain how close you have to be to the weapon at the time of firing to get the gunshot residue on your hands or arms.
The outer limit for a pistol in particular is about 18 inches. And so, and just imagine this big puff goes up in the air and contained within that.
Yeah, they bagged all of their hands, even the little girl's hands. They bagged. I seen it.
That puff is going to be unburned powder, and then the residue that's given off as this ignition takes place. You got two types of powder here. You've got the primer strike, which is more unstable, and then you have the propellant, which is driving that projectile down the barrel. So there are two unique chemical structures here. If an individual is holding the weapon, one of the places that you target in order to swab the hands, if people will just look at kind of the U shape that your hand makes between your thumb and your index finger, you'll go in there, you'll swab that particular area to see if anybody was holding the weapon. Now, on the other end of it,
this was about the AJ Armstrong story.
You might have propellant that comes out on a victim. Say, for instance, if on the contact surface of them, it'll give you an idea that that's the direction in which the projectile was actually fired in.
Negative on the gunshot residue. The only thing that was positive for the gunshot residue was on his t-shirt. On the right side of his t-shirt is where they got gunshot residue, and it was one of the shirts that was in the laundry.
And it's very curious. A lot has been made in the last days of the Idaho students, 4 of them slain, we believe, at least in their beds, if not in their sleep.
I think she was 12.
Much has been made of the fact that their bottom floor roommates, the 2 girls that sleep downstairs, heard nothing. I don't find that unusual at all. And I hearken back to the Ted Bundy case where many of the girls in the Chi Omega sorority house at FSU heard nothing. And Bundy had gotten in and was bludgeoning people, trying to kill them, people he had never even met. In this case, you have the sister, Kara, who heard nothing. And in her sleep, after she hugs her mom and dad goodnight, her parents are executed, shot dead just down the hallway there in the family home, and she heard nothing. Is that suspicious? Maybe.
They had an episode on ABC Dateline, but they took it down. I don't know why.
I find it completely believable. But let's listen to more. Take a listen to Courtney Fisher.
Kayra says AJ and her parents had a great relationship, that he was acting like his normal, happy, goofy, playful self the day of the murders. But her older brother, Josh, he was different when he came home.
You know, I want to start seeing people act like this. Hold on, let me grab this video for you. You guys got to see this. I want to start seeing people do this. This is what I want to start seeing.
Honestly, you are a poison to this earth.
And now I want to see
their
this.
Father has a request.
Judge Widow, distraught father, have a chance to say something.
Go ahead, sir.
This is what I want to start seeing in our courtrooms.
You son of a...
No, we don't want to swear.
I would ask you to, as part of the sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
He said, part of his sentencing, I want you to lock me in the room 5 minutes with this demon.
Would you do that?
That is not how No, sir, I can't.
Would you give me 1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system works.
We're back with the sentencing of Larry Nassar.
Love it. I love it. You got to give it up for that guy. You got to give it up for that guy. That man said, hey, you know, I know y'all remember the Nassar case. I know you guys remember that. Homie snapped.
Nassar's abuse on them.
Nothing can ever
judge.
I would ask you to, as part of the sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon. Would you do that?
That is not how our... No, sir, I can't.
Would you give me 1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system works.
He's like, I'm going to get my 1 minute anyways, you know? He took his 1 minute. I love it, though. I love it. 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 That's got to be part of my intro, man. Give me 5 minutes in the room with him. At least, come on, give me one. My man said he wanted 1 minute. I loved it. I had to record that yesterday when I seen it. That's the type of shit we be watching when I'm in Discord. And if you want to get a hold of me, the easiest place is Discord. We stream stuff like that in there.
Home from college in May. Quote, Josh was distant. He acted like the black sheep of the family. He acted like our parents loved us more because we were biologically theirs, Kara said. She and AJ were both Dawn and Antonio Sr.'s kids. Josh was just John's son. Kara says Josh was doing more drugs more often when he came home from school. Quote, he started talking to himself a lot. He stayed in the restroom for hours and hours. He'd sit there and talk to himself. He stopped caring about his appearance.
Okay, I see a lot of problems right there. Dave Mack joining me. Dave Mack, who is Josh? I know about AJ, the boy there in the home that called 911. I know about the sister Kara. Who is Josh?
All right, Josh is actually Dawn's son.
I'm going to open up the lines here in about 20 minutes.
From a previous relationship. He is not biologically the son of Antonio. And that's the friction of which they speak. Now, Josh is 3 years older than AJ, and he was 19 at the time of the murders.
Okay, to you, Karen Stark, New York psychologist, you heard the description of Josh's behavior. What does that mean?
Well, that means that something's off psychologically, Nancy. He comes back, he's behaving in a strange way. I don't know if he was like that before, but clearly he could be bipolar, schizophrenic. I'm not sure what the diagnosis would be.
Or he could just be doing drugs, Karen Stark. It may be just that simple.
Well, I'm a psychologist, so immediately I start thinking about what kind of mental disorder it might be.
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
But something is wrong, clearly. And the fact that he feels like a black sheep or believes he's treated that way, resentment is building, and his own identity is not confirmed for himself. He's not sure about where he fits.
You know, another thing about sibling jealousy.
All right,
it can start at a very young age, and it goes on all the way through adulthood. I mean, you'll have adults 40, 50, 60 years old still talking about you were mom's favorite. I mean, really get over it. But it festers and it sticks with people their whole life.
And they don't get over it. They really don't. It's constantly, I was mom's favorite. No, you were. I hear people say that all the time, the people that I work with. I was not the favorite, or I was always the favorite.
I mean, we even see it playing out in national headlines. I'm not even going to say Prince Harry and William. I mean, if I have to read one more headline about how this one is mad at that one and this one is mistreated, blah, blah, they're millionaires and they're still talking about it. Okay, let me focus on something that I really understand, and that is hard science. Take a listen to our friend Damali Keith at Fox 26.
All evidence points to one person.
Prosecutors say every door and window were closed and locked at the Armstrong's Bel Air home on July 29, 2016, when Antonio Sr. and Dawn Armstrong were shot to death with their own gun as they slept. And prosecutors point to the alarm that was set at 9:52 p.m. and was never triggered, and alarm records show motion sensors set off in the house, but no exterior doors opening or closing.
Okay, isn't it true, Jonathan Gilliam, former FBI special agent, it's not just a matter of the fact being that all of the alarms were on, no alarm went off, there was a motion detector, it didn't go off. But isn't it true that alarm companies that are monitoring your alarm system can tell if you turn the alarm off and turn the alarm on? Last night, 2:30 a.m., the alarm goes off. My husband and I jump out of bed and start running. I don't even know what's happening. And he immediately, before he could even turn the alarm off, said, "You cracked a window." I did not even know what he was talking about. As it turns out, my mom was up, who lives with us, 91 years old, and dropped a cake pan in the kitchen. I didn't hear any of that, but I sure heard the alarm going off. And of course, they immediately call the house to find out if everything's okay, because the alarm thinks somebody is breaking the window. My point is, long story, I just unfolded short. The alarm company knows when you disable and then restart the alarm. So it's not just a matter of the alarm being on and not tripping, but nobody cut it off and cut it back on either.
Right. You know, and also this is the family they own another business. So these are people that, you know, it sounds like they go out of their way, that the business had been robbed or was robbed sometime around that. And so these are people who take their security seriously, it appears. So, you know, once these alarms are set, that is the whole gist of the sales of these alarms, is that if they go off, you always, and every alarm I've ever had in any house I've ever lived where the alarm's gone off, you within a matter of minutes, you have a phone call from the alarm company, and then they're going to check to see if everything's okay. I don't know if that phone call occurred in this circumstance.
Well, no, because the alarm was never tripped. The
alarm never went off. But when the police came to the door, that is when the alarm was shut off. So the only way somebody could have been in there to do that, most likely, if the technology of these alarms worked, was if they were already in the house. And there have been cases. There was a guy, I don't remember what state it was in, but he was notorious. He'd robbed over $20 million because he figured out that a lot of these motion sensors are not put in the bedrooms of where people live, because in big homes, that's where they primarily move around at night. So they'll set the alarm, they'll be in their room, and if there's any movement in other places, the alarm will go off. I don't think that's the case here, because they had two other kids in the house, which means that these were just perimeter alarms.
Yeah, and you know what else? James Shelnut, Gilliam is right. There could have been somebody hiding under the bed the whole night or hiding somewhere that creep out, commit the murder, then they go back in hiding, and they wait for the cops to come, and then they sneak out. And little green man from Mars could have beamed down and killed both the mom and the dad, and then beamed back up. That didn't happen, all right? That is not what happened. Someone in that home murdered mom and dad. Nobody snuck out when the alarm system got turned off. Now we got to figure out who. But also, as Gilliam just pointed out correctly, their business had also just been robbed. Is that a coincidence? There's a robbery at the business, and now suddenly they're dead. But what do you think about the alarm situation, Shelnut?
Well, I think exactly what you think. I think that what the alarm did is it limited, of course, access. It identified who was in the proximity when mom and dad were killed, and it limits your possible suspects. I do agree. There have been times where people have come in and waited. I don't think that was the case here. No one heard anything. There was no evidence of robbery at the home. There was no evidence of burglary at the home. There was no other evidence of struggle at the home. The only evidence there was that someone was inside that house, walked into those parents' bedrooms and put a bullet in their head without anyone stopping them. And I don't believe it was anyone that did it that was outside of that apartment.
Guys, the cops are stymied until they notice somebody has got a very odd demeanor. Now, I've had defense attorneys attack me, and I understand why they do it. They're not totally wrong when I say, well, this just ain't right. Okay. They're not acting the way I would expect them to act. But I'm telling you, demeanor matters to cops and it matters to jurors. Take a listen to Damali Keith, Fox 26.
Prosecutors also played a portion of Antonio Jr.'s interview with police as he talked about his mother after learning she was shot dead.
Me, my brother, and my sister had our little issue.
Even in the moment that he realizes his mother is dead, he has so much disdain for her, he can't even say anything positive.
And more from Fox 26.
A Houston police investigator gave testimony saying then 16-year-old Antonio Armstrong Jr. did not appear to be scared, nervous, or in shock while being interviewed by two homicide detectives the morning his parents, former NFL player Antonio Armstrong Sr. and Dawn Armstrong, were murdered as they slept in their Bel Air area home back in 2016. The detective also says AJ never mentioned seeing an intruder in the 16-minute 911 call, but later told investigators he saw a masked man.
So Antonio Armstrong did not appear to be afraid or nervous or in shock following the murder of his parents. He could not conjure up one good word about his mother. I mean, Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics and death investigator, you've been at plenty of death scenes. And usually the victims' families are distraught.
They're absolutely crushed because this is an event that, first off, no one expects it to happen. And then when death visits these individuals, I've seen people that are in almost a catatonic state, but then I've seen people that are essentially falling apart emotionally. It runs the gamut. But, I always take issue many times when I go out to scenes and I see people that are showing little or no emotion or maybe an inappropriate level of emotion. And certainly from an investigative standpoint, it's going to make you look harder at that individual to see why they're not reacting in what would be deemed a normal manner under these abnormal circumstances.
And there is the issue of him changing his story. That's the biggest tell in my mind of almost anything, unless you catch somebody red-handed. He now tells investigators he saw a masked man. Where? Wasn't he, Dave Mack, in the closet, hiding in the closet when he called 911?
AJ said that he was on the third story and in the closet, and he was hiding in fear. He heard the gunshot, and boom, he's hiding. So, I don't know how he could see anybody in the closet. So
he doesn't mention that at first. It kind of reminds me of somebody we have all analyzed to bits. And that is Miss Jodi Arias, who changed her story so many times, from not being at the scene of Travis Alexander's murder to two ninjas with masks on, their faces covered, sneaking in and murdering Travis, and she managed to get away, to self-defense. This is right up there with the ninjas. Would you agree or disagree, Joe Scott Morgan?
It is right up there with the ninjas. How preposterous is this? You begin to think about, who has access to this environment. When one thing that really stands out to me is who would actually know that this weapon was kept in a specific area, and it's apparently the same weapon that was used to perpetrate these homicides. It's an individual that has intimate knowledge of this environment, can move through this environment, and understands where people are oriented. And I'm talking about this man and his wife who are peacefully sleeping in their bed, and they are essentially executed.
Not only that, we now learn of a throwaway comment made later on during the 911 call made by the son, AJ Armstrong. Take a listen to KPRC.
Houston police were on their way at this point, and AJ not a suspect then. The dispatcher then directs him to wake up his 12-year-old sister. Later, during that 911 call, AJ, who today stands trial, accused of killing his parents, can be heard saying something unthinkable, possibly self-incriminating. Quote, "It's all my fault."
Wow.
It's all my fault.
All my fault. He thought to say that on the 911 call, but why? What could possible motivation be? Take a listen to ABC 13.
Texts from October through May, up to 2 months before the murders. It shows a frustrated, exhausted pair of parents, Dawn and Antonio, telling AJ over and over he's a, quote, disappointment, that they're tired of his lying, his spending money, his bad grades. In April, Antonio Sr. texted, AJ, I'm sick of getting reports about silly crap you are doing. Keep screwing up and doing silly things like speed through the park. I'm trading your car in for one that matches your maturity. Last morning. This text from mom in June. We gave you all and the best we had. We wanted the best for you. We provided the best education, bought you a great car to celebrate you. We tried to be open with you. And what was important to you and all you do is lie to us, scheme behind our backs.
Okay, you're hearing the inner thoughts and feelings of the mom and dad. And they're threatening to change out his new car. Remember, at the time, he's 16 years old.
So, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? What is your thoughts? Okay, so let's do this. I don't know. That case right there bothers me. I'm gonna see the next trial. I just thought I'd introduce you to it a little bit because it's interesting. I really think that I don't know if they're gonna be able to get down to the bottom of it on that case. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see them getting to the bottom of that shit. I see there being major issues, problems. Hold up, where's this at? Oh. Guilty again. Guilty, crazy. Did they catch him lying and scheming, or were they told so by say the brother? It gets complicated. Pissed off kid kills his parents. Nothing wrong with mom and dad saying that. Smash that like button, free 99. Hold on, he killed them. I saw the 2020 show and it went in depth. He's guilty. Yeah, it went in depth about that. Oh, I played with my friend last week, grabbed the gun out the bottom drawer. I don't know. Let me hear some of y'all's thoughts. And you can talk with it. If you want to talk Idaho 4, you can talk Idaho 4. If you want to talk this case, you can talk this case. 219-885-9693. Let the phone ring. Maybe we'll hear you sing. Do I even have the number up, or am I bugging? There it is for you right there. Boom, boom. It probably would help if I took this off. Let me see. And then this one. What was this friggin' email that I was just looking at? Somebody wanted me to play this. Huh.
An update now to a story we first brought you last week. The Moscow, Idaho restaurant where 2 murder victims worked now breaks its silence, saying a recent story about accused murder.
352, what's up? Hey, what's up? You live?
Oh, I can't believe it. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. How about yourself?
Okay. Well, how did they get in the house with the alarm on, going to the parents' bedroom, load the gun,
Right.
right? Blow them away. I don't. No. I'm going to watch the 2020 because
they took it down.
Oh, they did take it down.
Yeah, it has me because I don't know why we watched it in Discord like 6 times, but they removed the 2020. I don't know for what reason, but man, you know, as soon as they filed for a change of venue, they deleted that off of there.
Oh my God, 3 times. This will be his 3rd February.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think it's interesting. I mean, I'm even watching the other thing, you know, with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Because he should have chucked that gun before. I don't even want to go there. But I really enjoy listening to you. I think that some of the people, I mean, you get that wherever you go. But you're a really nice kid. I shouldn't call you a kid. But you remind me of somebody, that, you know, and I know you're a good boy. So stay that way.
Yeah, 32.
32?
Yeah, I'm 32.
Ooh, you don't look it.
Yeah, I'm 32. I'll be 33 in September.
So are we going to stay on this case so I can investigate?
I'm on a lot of cases. Well, this is one of them. This is one that I wanted to see the trial. I want to see what happens in the trial. Same thing going to be with the Idaho 4, but
okay.
I might travel there to go to the or at least catch the ending. I want to see the closing arguments.
Yeah. So far, I only heard that 1 camera for everyone.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I hope you get in if you go.
I mean, it was. I know it was on TV. It was on TV. Like they aired the trial on TV, or at least a lot of it, from what I've seen.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna check it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna check it. And listen, you have a good day.
2020 sucks you right in when I can't find that 2020 episode nowhere though.
I wonder if I can get it on demand.
They deleted it.
Ooh.
I looked on demand already. I looked on demand, Hulu, everywhere. I've been on the search for it, even on other sites.
Check it out.
But I'll tell you what.
Okay.
When they talk about what bothers me is the gunshot residue on his shirt. That's in the laundry. That's the part that bothers me. You got gunshot residue on your shirt, and you're right-handed, but allegedly a week before, him and his friend were shooting the gun. So I don't know if that's some type of alibi he came up with, or the friend confirmed, or what.
Well, that's what it sounds like, an alibi. But the shirt, how would he get the residue off his hands? Because, I mean, even if you shoot, you know, the oils and everything, how do you know what I'm saying? By the time the police got there.
That's what I'm saying.
Huh?
The defense pinned it on his brother.
Yes. And the sister was sleeping. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It's crazy. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you for calling in. God bless you.
I enjoyed speaking to you. God bless you too, sweetheart.
Thank you. Shout out to her, man. If you want to call in, 219-885-9693, let it ring. Let it ring. Let's hear it. See, they don't have any. Oh, I got that Doug Wilson video everybody wanted to see. $704, you in the door. What's going on?
Oh shit! Hi. Hi. Hold on. Oh my God! I want to lower this. Okay. So Hi. This is Lisa. I'm in the chat and I'm listening to everyone. But someone came up with this story about urine. Like that you can take urine and drop it all over yourself and it takes away the gun residue. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh my God!
I have never heard of that.
You got a bunch of people down on the bottom, and they have come up with this recipe that you pee on yourself, and then it takes away. So someone had said he's guilty. He may have pissed on himself, and that's why there is no residue.
Oh my
God! So it's something that you definitely. I'm going to do some homework on it. So for everyone out there that wants to join us in Discord, be a member, and we will talk about urine and showering ourselves and getting residue off. And I just want to tell you, T-REV, I love you, and I love Athena, and I love the family, doing a great job, and we got you back.
Well, I appreciate you. Well, damn, I didn't know about this pissing yourself and.
Yeah, I'll get all the documentation ready, and we're gonna figure it out tonight.
That's crazy that you can do.
Join us on Discord. It's gonna be urine night. Love ya. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Piss on yourself. Did you hear that? 219-885-9693. Piss on yourself.
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
Okay. 916, you're in the mix. What's going on?
Hey, so, why would somebody have gasoline in their room?
Yeah, no, it's I have no idea. It struck me weird too.
So, he had it in that alcohol bottle. So, that was to disguise it from his parents. And then obviously he tried to set the top of the stairs on fire. I saw in that 2020 that you actually, and you saw it too. So we saw the big burn mark. That was no doubt. That was a big burn mark.
Yeah, on the carpet in the hallway?
Yeah, you could see how he poured it. Like, because it kind of went across the stairs and then lit it, People that do stuff like that, that's a troubled mind,
Yeah, I think he was really, I don't know, like for me, allegedly, I think he did it. Allegedly. Speculating. I think he's guilty, and that's just my opinion, but I first thought he was innocent.
Initially, when I saw the 2020 show, I thought he was innocent. I really did, but this is a different angle, different spin. A lot of things. They're number one, the parents' text messages. Those are really damning. I had no idea that they had taken the Mustang away. People are right. He's 16, taking his car, taking his cell phone, his ability to talk to his girlfriend. These are fighting words, right? When you're 16.
Hell yeah. I'll tell you what. His defense team. I don't know who they are, but if I got in trouble, I would want them on my side. I'll tell you what, because they fucking tore up that. They literally put on a show on their closing argument.
They did.
Yeah, they were really good.
People are not realizing that you can. So double jeopardy is that you can't try a person twice once they have been, either guilty or not guilty. They've been found guilty or not guilty. So let's say that you got tried for. There's a show called Fracture. It's a movie with Anthony Hopkins and Ryan Rosling, whatever his name is. Ryan, great show. So he charges him with attempted murder, and because the bullet is still in his wife's brain and she's on life support at the hospital, so he loses. The guy gets not guilty, and then he goes and tells them, because he's the prosecutor, I did it, mofo, I did it. And so then the wife dies, and he goes, now I'm charging you with murder, and you admit it. So double jeopardy means you can't try somebody twice for the same crime once there has been a verdict, right? But if you keep getting a hung jury, the prosecutor can try it 2,500 times if they want. It's all our taxpayer money.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's gonna always lead to a hung jury in this case. I mean, the first trial they almost got him. They had 8-4.
I know.
They almost had him guilty on that first trial. I mean, he had 4 people, but 4 people's 4 people.
Another thing too, a couple things. Let me run this by you.
Go ahead.
Number one, didn't you think it was kind of interesting that when he shot the gun into his bed or his pillow, obviously to me that was him trying to make it silent, but it went into his parents' bedroom. That, where was that exactly? Was it near the parents' bed? I mean, I wonder if that could have been a first attempt at seeing if he could actually shoot him. And
that's what they said during the trial, that that was like a practice shot.
Okay.
And it ended up going through his wall at like a certain angle.
Right. Right. And then I did, and then another thing too is that they did dispel in the 2020, the defense did, that one of the back doors wasn't able to close all the way, so therefore the alarm was dysfunctioning at some point. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, I remember all of it because I just been watching. I don't know if you've been in Discord or not, but I just been watching that shit. And then
Discord, is that another YouTube channel?
Nah, it's a different platform like you make. It's like you can all chat and talk, but you can also stream shows in there. Like for me, I stream 2020 Dateline, a bunch of different shows. We watch a bunch of true crime in my Discord. I don't know.
Wow. We
all get together, we talk true crime in the chat. We're all sending documents and stuff back and forth on there. It's a great way to get. That's where you can find me at most of the time. If I'm not on here, I'm there.
Okay. Yeah, and I was saying is that did they? I heard no evidence whether or not there was any water in the sink, in the bathtub, on the porch, anywhere.
They didn't mention that.
Right.
And I'd like to know what his search history. I would like to know what he watched last on Netflix too, for show wise. Like, were you watching Making a Murderer? Were you watching Forensic Files? What were you watching? Because in order for you to think of, say he did do it, if he did do that, he would need the smarts to be able to, okay, I've watched Forensic Files. The people are getting caught with gunshot residue. Maybe I would know. Maybe he was smart enough that he actually sat back, watched some shows, and tried to learn some things. I don't know. That's why I would want to know that, because I need to know your search history. What were you watching? Especially on Netflix. On Netflix, you just go pick your show. On Google, they'll see the shit that he was, searching. Supposedly, he was trying to make a car bomb.
Right. And that's another thing, guys. Let's think about that. T-REV gang family. But I mean, to look up how to make a car bomb when you're 16, I would be curious when he looked that up. Is that before or after they took his car away? This is a really random thing to be looking up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, was he gonna put that in his parents' car, or was he gonna, once they start my car up, I'm gonna blow up my car and them? I guess payback. But that's just not something that most people Google.
The car bomb shit gets to me because I'm like, all right, so the homie, you were trying to build a car bomb for what? To blow you and your mom and dad up when they were. And I'm just thinking and speculating that it's not true. I'm not saying it because it's not written anywhere that he said that. But in general, what are you thinking? Are you thinking about blowing your parents up when they go out together and making it like an act? Like, I don't know. That's just weird.
But then you look at it on the defense side, because when I watched the 2020, I thought he was innocent. Number one, I thought that the 911 call sounded legitimate. There were some things there, so when he said, I saw this guy dressed all in black guy, and so he could have saw him, heard the gunshot wound, saw him, or heard the gunshot, saw him, ran in the closet and made the call. That's legit. But so then you have the gunpowder residue on his shirt. Well, he could have done that test fire shot, truly being a 16-year-old idiot with his friend, not thinking it was actually going to go through the wall, thinking it was going to tap off. I don't know what and that there's still residue on his shirt, which would be his right side, from playing around with that gun that day, and he just, has it in the laundry. And then he's got that psycho brother a little bit. He's not psycho. Let me take that back. He has, they said that he's potentially schizophrenic.
Right.
And was homicidal. So these are all serious questions. I mean, and do you put a 16-year-old in prison for the rest of his life when there's real questions like this?
Yeah, it is, but it bothers me. I don't know. This case is just, I don't know. Did AJ do this? Is the real question. Like, do you without? I mean, there's reasonable doubt if you're sitting up on that stand. In my opinion, there's enough there to make me think about other shit. You got the brother; he was there at the scene,
right away. Mind you, remember, like right away.
Exactly. Both of them didn't have gunshot residue on their hands. It's just there's enough there to make you think about shit. And I think that's what the defense did a very good job at. And if you, and this is what I was going to mention on the defense. Yeah, he's in here. If on the defense part, they did so good painting the narrative against the brother, and they put on a show, and they're going to continue to put on that show. And that's going to continue to cast that doubt into jurors' heads, whether it be one person or four of them, or five.
I 100% agree. And, on that 2020, and it's too bad they took it down, but they probably took it down, T-REV, because, again, they're moving it and they're not wanting to, mess up the tank, right? And, they want to have people have, they don't want, 2020 is it's cast over millions and millions of people, so you're reaching a lot of audience. They probably don't want to mess up a potential jury pool, but they did. The news station was there right away, and when they interviewed his sister, the 12-year-old, and even in his, they really seemed like innocent, good kids to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
the only thing that bothered me about AJ was his blank stares,
right?
Like just emotionless.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's just numb or what, but I mean, I think he was crying in a couple interviews, but I mean. Either he can, he can turn it off and on, or what?
I'm 65% he's guilty, but it's right now, maybe even 70. But so I mean, I hear you. His parents' text messages for me are telling. Anyway, well, I'll let you go. I'm still listening to you. Love listening to you. Glad to have you back on, man.
Well, appreciate you calling. Thank you. God bless you, and lock your door.
Okay, I will.
Later. Shout out to her, man. If you want to call in, 219-885-9693. Somebody just cash app something. Shayna, thank you for the 100. I appreciate that. Thank you. Shout out to you for the $100. But yeah, this dude, I don't know, like gunshot residue, even with the shirt, that means you changed your shirt before the police got there. If it's not the same shirt that you shot the gun with the week prior from pulling your dad's gun, but the gun that killed the parents is the dad's gun. And the gun was set downstairs allegedly on the on the table. So which was it? But here's this Doug Wilson. Let's dive over into the Idaho 4 real quick. All right. Let's dive over to the Idaho 4. Remember that person that called and was talking about this?
In northern Idaho's dunes of grains and grass, a battle without bullets over the direction of a town.
I believe that what's happening in Moscow is a microcosm of what's happening all across the country that started here maybe 10 or 15 years earlier than what's happening across the country.
And that is?
Well, just the radical division. I don't think our nation has been this divided since 1859. It's divided and it's inflamed. And that whole process, I think, began to be visible here a decade or a decade and a half before it became radically visible in the.
Now, guys, if you don't remember, I don't know if you've been rocking with me, how long you've been rocking with me, but the one person that called in weeks ago, some people were trying to claim that it was that Kim girl, but they just sound different to me on my when I go back and actually play the phone call. It sounds different. It was the Emmy Headstone. I don't know if you're in here. Emmy Headstone. That's who it was that told me that. Where's that call at? She tagged me on Twitter about it. She's like, yo, that's Kim, but I wouldn't listen to it. I don't think so.
The nation as a whole.
Pastor Doug Wilson leads Christ Church in what he calls
WSU
a
Doug Wilson.
civil war.
Our rights come to us from God and not from the government.
Fighting in, of all places, a college town. Moscow, home to University of Idaho and just 8 miles from Washington State University, exudes a live and let live vibe. One of the interesting things about Moscow is how these two entities live side by side, and I mean literally. Right behind me, that's the offices of the Christ Church, and right next door is the headquarters for the local Democratic Party. From this former art house movie theater, Wilson leads his campaign to make Moscow a Christian town.
Idaho is a very red state. Moscow was historically a very blue dot in this red state. And so consequently, the fact that we've done this has been disruptive in the minds of some, but the feasibility of evangelizing in Moscow had to do with the importance of the university and the size of the town.
So in your version of a Christian town, would there be a place for non-believers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Would there be a place for same-sex couples?
But you mean legally?
Yes.
You mean like marriage? No marriage. But there'd be same-sex couples.
No marriage, even though it's the law of the land in the United States?
Just like Roe used to be, right? In my belief system.
Do you really think that's that Kim girl that called? I don't know. I'll go find it.
And our doctrinal stand and what we believe the Bible teaches,
I didn't think
homosexuality is not only a choice, but a sinful one. Yes.
It is a muscular, masculine-led vision of Christianity.
Scripture tells the man to provide, protect, and love. Scripture tells the woman to honor, help, and submit.
Expounded on his show Man Rampant.
Men are going to be dominant no matter what you do.
And articulated in his blogs. This one saying marriage is a little kingdom and the husband is a little
This is research.
king.
This is stuff that, you know what I mean? I do not think you're crazy at all, man. I promise.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry. I'm freaking out, but I've
you're
put a lot of
fine.
work into
You are
this.
absolutely fine. Your heart is in this. You're passionate. You're passionate about what you're
Hold
saying.
on, where'd that
Crying
video go?
when I got off the phone with the FBI last night, you guys. I stood on hold at 10 o'clock.
This was who
This is
called
research.
on.
This is stuff that we, you know what I mean? Should we give a call back? Let's call back. Let's call back. For sure. Should we call back? Everything is allegedly. I think we should call back. I think she's serious about what she's saying, guys. I think she really.
Where's that
I
playing?
think she really believes with her heart, and I don't hate on her for that.
There's a glitch.
You know what I mean? I don't hate.
No, it ain't. Never mind. I got it right here.
Here we go. I'm gonna shoot her a call right now. Let's go ahead and shoot that call over, and let's get to it.
Let me know what you think, everybody. I don't
All
know why
right, here we
people
go.
keep. I don't think it sounds like her.
Here we go. Enter number. Here we go right now. It's on. Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I played the video and all that. Now everybody's like, all right, give her 10 minutes to explain what she's talking about. I'm like, all right, we'll do that.
Yeah, you got a bunch of haters on there.
Okay, don't worry about them. This is just me and you talking. Don't worry about anybody who is gonna. They're gonna, people are gonna question everything. I want to hear it. So I'm ready. You ready?
All these people are talking about some Jack D or Jack S. Those people that I'm showing on there are not even those people that they've been talking about.
Yes, ma'am. No,
It's Douglas Wilson and his son.
Okay. So, all right. I put it on the clock. Go ahead.
Does this sound like the other person? That's what people want to know. Does it sound like the other person who called? I don't know. Somebody said that this person called in other shows and with other stories. I don't know. I do have part of that one video clip, though.
You can explain everything right now. This is yours. They're your time. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Michelle. I live in Washington State. I'm a mother of a 19-year-old son and a 21-year-old daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't need haters. And I've sent the attorney this morning an email.
Yes, ma'am.
After I've done the extensive research because we haven't been getting anywhere. And that's what I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I respect what you do. Thank you for everything that you do.
Made the video. It's clues. It's not, you guys are used to watching these videos that tell you every little freaking detail and people break stuff down and got boards up and shit. Okay.
Yeah, it don't sound like it.
I can't post all this shit out there because it's totally doxing and saying, "Hey, you're the killer."
Right, which will get your ass sued. You know what I mean? Yeah,
you guys don't know who I'm fucking with here, man. This guy rules the town of Moscow.
Yes, ma'am.
He's been there since 1969. That town has unsolved murders since 1969. People are gonna think I'm crazy. I don't care. I don't care. Watch it. Watch what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am. I'm listening. You got all ears for me, and I'm not.
I don't care what people in the chat think I'm crazy. They're going to be calling me names, thinking I'm off my rocker. That's fine. I'm a 47-year-old woman.
Ma'am,
guess what? I've been through it. I'm from Los Angeles. I can take it.
I want to tell you something real quick before we move on. You're going to get that. I get that all the time. Don't pay attention to them, and just I personally, I'm interested in hearing what you're saying because you could be right. And
Douglas Wilson.
I want to give you that fair chance to explain it.
Douglas, Rory, and Nathan Wilson. You guys want names? I just dropped the names. Look them up.
Okay.
Do your research.
I'm writing that down. Let me get my notepad out. You can keep going. You said Douglas what?
Douglas Wilson.
Yes, ma'am.
Rory Wilson. Rory Wilson.
Yes, okay.
Nathan Wilson. A father and his 2 sons.
Good to hear.
You guys need to look. You got to stop looking. You got to stop looking at what the massive media is feeding you people.
I'm with you. Fuck mainstream media.
Okay, because we know what's going on already, and we know the little details aren't matching up. And the reason I'm going to tell you guys the reason why this isn't going down and they're not investigating this. Well, the reason why they're not investigating this guy is because he's in a situation with the police right now because of that arrest that I just showed you on the video that was recent. Okay, the reason why they wouldn't question the black truck, you want to know why? Because if they question him in the murder, then this guy, he's already admitted on so many of his videos that he's got a stash of cash in case the FBI investigates him. You guys don't know who you're fucking with.
Yes, ma'am. I'm listening to you. I'm all ears right now for everything that you're saying.
People are gonna think I'm crazy. That's fine.
I absolutely do not think you're.
She said you're gonna think I'm crazy multiple times. She's probably like, damn, it wasn't him.
This is research. This is stuff that you know what I mean. I do not think you're crazy at all, man. I promise.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry. I'm freaking out, but
you're fine. You are absolutely fine. Your heart is in this. You're passionate. You're passionate about what you're saying.
I was crying when I got off the phone with the FBI last night. You guys, I stood on hold at 10 o'clock.
No, I think she hung up. Should we give a call back? Let's call back. Should we call back? You're fine. It's okay. It happens. Even if people are saying you're off your fucking rocker and you're crazy and all this other shit, you got to overlook that. Oh, ma'am, I do want to say something to you. And I'm not hating on you whatsoever. And this is just me giving you advice. Even if you're fine, it's okay. It happens.
I'm sorry, you guys. I don't want to, cause like some kind of weird commotion about this whole thing. To continue, like I called the FBI last night, and when I got off the phone, I was crying because I feel so strongly about this. Like, if I didn't feel strongly, why would I?
Allegedly.
The reason, like, if I didn't want the parents to see this, my work, I wouldn't post. You know what I mean? This is for the parents.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
It's for those moms and dads that lost their babies.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I'm 100%.
And we need to honor that, not the hater stuff, because this is real. It's not funny.
Yeah, absolutely,
and nobody's listening.
I hear your emotion. I am listening to you. You got all the ears from me, and whatever support you need from me, I got your back.
And I'm scared. I'm scared because of who I'm outing. I'm really scared because I've done more research about what happens when you out him.
Don't be scared.
And I'm scared. He threatens people.
Your back. I will call you off air. I got your back. Nobody will touch you. If I got connections too, so I'm not scared. Whoever this is, we can dig into it.
Douglas Wilson, Rory Wilson, and Nathan Wilson.
Okay.
They need to be investigated, and we need to know where they were at the night of the 12th through the 13th, morning of the 13th.
Question. I don't remember.
And we need to know who drives the black truck and who was that in body cam, and if that person's been questioned in the footage, why they were driving at that time in the morning, going away from the house on Taylor.
Okay. Well, yeah, we need to check into it. I wrote the names down, and I'm gonna definitely dive into it. I got some apps and stuff that I work with that'll. I don't know. I don't know these people. This is the first time I heard their names. You bringing them up.
If you do the research, they're buying up properties all over Moscow right now with under David LLC.
Yes, ma'am.
I got a lot of information. I can't really get all this outed online right now because it's a lot.
Yes,
It just says, what's going on?
I mean, connect with me. I mean, if you want, we can make a video about it together. Like when I'm off air this weekend or something, maybe after the
two screens talking. There ain't two screens talking.
Maybe after Christmas or right after Christmas break or whatever, or right after Christmas.
That's fine. Yeah.
If you
have my email, I can send you information. I think that's probably the best way is just to, I sent you another email because I was mad about the whole being chatted about, but that's understandable. I understand people are really skeptical about people that call in and that may know something, and that's fine. I get it, you guys. But you and I can email back and forth if you'd like. I'm happy to do that and happy to provide the information. And I hope the attorney gets a hold of me too, because I have information. I have evidence. That's the only videos that I've even posted on YouTube. I haven't said anything about who I think it was up until this point.
Okay. Yeah, that's it's crazy. I mean, I've never heard of them people ever. I don't think I've heard of them at all.
The town of Moscow knows them. They all know them. Ask the town of Moscow. They all know who that guy is, but they won't say anything.
Wow.
So are they like super? So I'm guessing their pockets are super deep.
Yeah, and deep in with the right people in the school.
And she's talking about this person, right? Hold on, let me exit that. She's talking about this guy right here.
Paul teaches in multiple places.
This is what she's talking about.
So a wife should be submissive to her husband. But in the blog post that you just cited, I made a special point of saying that the woman exercises authority over the selection of the one that she's going to submit to.
So when you say wives should be submissive to their husbands, does this mean
call Kim? Kim
why
can call me.
Equal?
Well, because God created us a certain way. So we want to fit with the design.
Former Mayor Nancy Cheney says the community has endured decades of Wilson's often incendiary ideas.
When some kind of outrageous statements were made early on about Southern slavery as it was, as a mutually affectionate relationship between master and slave, or saying that members of our LGBTQ community, trans people, should be exiled or possibly stoned, that catches our attention.
Wilson says he was misunderstood, rebutting the many controversies on his website, writing he does not believe in the death penalty for homosexual acts or that slavery was a positive good. But the visible and invisible lines being drawn here and elsewhere across the country are setting off alarm bells for many faith leaders.
Do you consider Christ Church a church?
I don't.
Really?
I really don't.
What is it then?
I see it as a dominionist cult.
Reverend Dr. Elizabeth Stevens leads the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Palouse.
In the public square, I don't see them representing Christianity. I don't see them representing the values that I find in the Bible. I see them representing patriarchy. I see them fighting the culture war.
Stevens' position in that war is visible for all to see. A stained glass rainbow chalice. Wilson fights with the printed word. A prolific author, he's written dozens of books, all distributed by his own Canon Press. It publishes more than 1,000 different titles, half of which are books and materials serving hundreds of thousands of homeschool and Christian students nationwide. Wilson laughs off the cult accusation, but the former Navy man embraces culture warrior.
You can't have a naval warfare without ships, and you can't have tank warfare without tanks. And as I tell Christians all around the country, you can't have culture war unless you have a culture. Our tagline is all of Christ for all of life. So we want to be 7 day a week, 24-hour Christians in everything we do. And a distinctively Christian culture is forming here, and not reclusive and not cultic, but it's distinct.
Here in Moscow, Wilson and Christ Church have built a multi-million-dollar enterprise that includes a K-12 school, a publishing house, a college, and a streaming show. Pursuits that some worry will change the very character of this town.
What scares me is that he is making Moscow into a Wilson town.
Keely Emerine Mix is a former pastor.
What worries me is not that the stamp of Christ might be wrongly shoved down the throats of my neighbors here in Moscow, but that the stamp in the foot of Doug Wilson will be wrongly and is being wrongly crammed down their throats or standing on their neck. I think that his influence on this town has been despicable.
Aubrey and Wyatt Knickerbocker met 2 years after her family moved to Moscow, seeking a Christian town.
We found what at first we thought was a very welcoming community. There was
Kim. What is Kim gonna tell me that people don't know?
something every day, something new, some sort of baby shower or something for the school. You get very swept up in all of it.
Until they heard this message from another pastor in the church.
Women should wear women's clothes. They shouldn't wear pants.
Shouldn't have short hair.
Shouldn't have short hair. Men shouldn't wear earrings. No one should have tattoos.
And then there was this, a psalm sing in the middle of the pandemic, protesting the local mask mandate, retweeted by then President Trump.
That was when I realized that these were not people trying to spread awareness or trying to spread the good news of Christ. It was people trying to say, look at us, we are so oppressed.
Did you feel betrayed when you realized that? How would you describe your feelings?
Yes, very betrayed, because I've grown up in the Christian church, and it never occurred to me that a church could be wrong and how wrong they could be.
They stopped attending Christ Church. Aubrey says she was attacked online. Now they actively avoid patronizing businesses run by church members.
If it was another church that owned it and they just happened to have some beliefs that I didn't agree with, that's fine. But when you're hurting people, that's when you have really crossed many lines.
Are you being judged on your faith rather than your product?
I believe 100% that that's true.
Josh Flickner says he came to Moscow seeking a Christian community and found it in Christ Church. But his business, Journey's End Cafe, is paying the price for where he worships.
I really wanted this place to be actually a bridge builder in the community. And so, yeah, it's really a bummer that that a lot of people in the community are just so full of bigotry that they do not want to even try to build those bridges.
He says his workers are threatened by crank calls, and his
this video is what that woman was talking about, and like how he has some agenda for Moscow to Pullman. He's part of the college campus, etc.
Future by a social media campaign calling out businesses run by church members.
Look at what people say about my business and then pretend like I was not a white heterosexual Christian male. That would be a hate crime. Anywhere else in the country, against any other type of person, that would be a hate crime.
3 weeks after this interview, Flickner announced he's closing the cafe.
So how close is Wilson to reaching his goal of turning Moscow into a Christian town? Well, no one is quite sure, but everyone has an opinion.
Honestly, it's almost laughable, only because you're talking about a minute percentage of the population.
George Scandalos and Brandy Sullivan own restaurants and businesses on Main Street.
As someone who was served on the city council, I haven't seen any traction gained in that area. The last two elections, there were some candidates who were members of Christ Church, and those elections were very uneven. And
I would call it a landslide.
There you go.
In defeat?
Yes.
You have 700 active households, about 2,000 church attendees. This is a city.
Hold up. I want to see this video by Harsh real quick. Let's watch it real fast. I want to see this. I want to see if this dude plays.
Well, hello there. It's me for the second time today. If you do not know, I do 2 videos pretty much every single day. And I know a lot of you struggle to get notifications. First of all, I'm going to say this. If you have notifications turned on YouTube, but notifications turned off in your phone, in your settings, then that will override the fact that you've got notifications turned on in the YouTube app. So if you struggle to get notifications, first of all, do check your settings in your actual phone to make sure notifications are allowed. A mistake that even I make a lot of the time.
I want to see what he found about old Kopeka.
I digress. Let's get straight into the meat and potatoes and talk about Brent Kopeka. Now, I did a live a couple of hours ago, and I was surprised that a lot of people didn't know who that was. And I'm guessing that there'll be people watching this video now who perhaps do not know who he is. So before we go on, I'm just going to bring your attention to this article. Now, this guy is a decorated Army veteran from Pullman, sufferer of PTSD for a period of approximately 16 years, who was fatally shot by SWAT teams in December.
Fatally.
On December 15th in Pullman. Now, what this basically was, this was a situation that what they're saying is it escalated from something, and he was on the sort of around the Washington State University complex, and he had said that he was going to shoot his housemates. Escalated. There was a breach by SWAT. They shot the guy. But since then, there's been a lot of speculation surrounding a possible connection between him and Bryan Kohberger. Some people have speculated that perhaps this is the guy that Kohberger was looking to frame. Perhaps this is someone who Bryan Kohberger manipulated to do this for him. Did Bryan Kohberger drive him over there and get him to do it and then drove him away? And look, this video isn't about saying anyone is right or anyone is wrong. Please do not think that. Over here, we listen to everybody and everyone has a right to their own opinion. And my opinion is my opinion only. Some people share it. Some people do not. And I never think that I can 100% be right. And when I talk about this today, I could indeed be so far off the mark that the mark is a dot to me. Okay? But what I'm going to talk about today is the fact that I do not believe that this guy had anything to do with the Idaho murders, the Moscow, Idaho murders. I do not believe this guy had anything to do with it, anything whatsoever. Many people have turned around and said the fact that this guy has got PTSD, he was someone who could have been manipulated. And I will say to people like I did last night, those of you who think that, you need to go and learn about PTSD and what PTSD truly is. Now, with respect of my knowledge with PTSD, so you guys don't think that I'm just talking out of my backside, for those of you who don't know, we are in a military zone. We live within a military zone next to one of the biggest military bases in the UK. I can literally look out of my window and see the main gates of the base. Our family are military. We are surrounded by people who suffer from PTSD, complex PTSD. I speak to them. We can have conversations with them. And I've had conversations about this very thing. Now, is it possible that he could have been manipulated? Of course it is. Of course, anybody can be manipulated by the right person, and we see it all the time, whether it be relationship manipulation, whether it be adults to children, you know, even parental manipulation. It exists. It happens. You know, workplace manipulation. Anybody is open to manipulation, and some people think that that they're not being manipulated, and they are being manipulated. So it happens. But we can't blame things like PTSD. Now, the fact that this guy had suffered from PTSD for 16 years does not put him in a category that he can automatically be considered as likely took part in this situation. PTSD is about an enhanced fight or flight response. It can also be completely the opposite, where they have an active focus on avoiding situations that they feel may be dangerous. This is through seeing something or being subjected to something over a period of time that alters the way the brain works with regards to its fear response. That's what PTSD is. Now, with respect of this decorated Army vet, now people have said about the Army weapon that was used. He was in the Army. He wasn't a Marine. He was awarded the Purple Heart for bravery. And every single thing that's said about him is glowing. And the elements that they talk about with his PTSD are very, very common. But this is something else. I think that people are looking this potentially the wrong way, because I think that the only thing that he could have in connection with the Moscow, Idaho case is that his knowledge that it happened, right, and thinking that someone was out there, that could have triggered a PTSD response that led to what happened. Does that make sense? To think that someone had entered a room and taken the lives of 4 students in this same kind of situation that he lived in himself, in a very similar setup, if you like, with roommates and in a property that was shared. Could that have triggered a PTSD response? I think that is far more likely than to believe that this guy had been manipulated and used as a weapon in this story. And again, that is purely my opinion. And I would like to hear your opinion. If you're not 100% familiar with the situation, please do go and check it out. Go and check out what happened, and do your homework on this guy yourself and see what you think. And then please do come back and comment down below, because I would be interested in hearing everybody else's take, whether you do indeed agree with me, whether you feel that there is a real strong possibility that he was indeed involved, because I think from what I've seen, there are people who do believe that, and I'd be interested to understand what makes you think that. And I'm going to leave you with this, because this is why I think people think that. And it goes back to the video that I did earlier today. So if you haven't watched that video, go and watch that after this one. Because from what I can see, the time frame with which these murders took place.
Did y'all see Andy's new video?
And it's not the 4 a.m. to 4:25. It's more like the 4:10 to 4:20 or 4:18, if you like. So potentially an 8-minute action window, if you like. And we've got to ask ourselves, was this someone who was skilled in this? They had done it before? Or was it someone who had help? Because I struggle to think that someone who was a complete virgin to all of it, had never done it before, had no help, no assistance, nothing whatsoever, went in with this incel complex, what people are saying, with this blind rage, that they are able to pull this off in this length of time. Yes, mistakes were made, but were mistakes made because they'd got off it before?
Yeah, I think so. And with that, I want to see this.
According to a new report, Brian Koberger, who is the criminology PhD student accused of mass murdering a group of Idaho students back on November 13th, 2022, allegedly sent one of the 4 victims a series of private messages on Instagram back in October, a month before the murders. New timestamps and details reveal who that victim may
Sorry
be.
about the cat.
Additionally, FBI experts have spoken out and said that they believe Brian has not only killed before, but left his sheath behind on purpose. So we're going to talk about exactly what makes them so firmly believe that. We also now have our hands on the search warrant of Brian's apartment and the items that were seized from that search. So we're going to go over the items, the hairs, everything that was pulled out of his apartment. Lastly, we learned more about Brian's childhood and a middle school romance turned sour that helps give us a bit more insight into who Brian is and what his motive in all of this might have been. Guys, we have got a lot to talk about. I'm Annie Elise. This is 10 to Life. Let's dive right in. Myself a good game on my phone. It's my thing. Don't judge me. Mobile app that offers over and you use my direct link. I don't have to tell. And some news outlets are actually saying that this source is actually a police source, spoke to People magazine and said that Brian reached out to one of those 4 University of Idaho students over Instagram repeatedly, all in an attempt to get her attention.
Let's hear it.
He says that he slid into the girl's DMs several times, but that she didn't respond. Basically, it was just him saying, "Hi, how are you? How's it going?" But he did it again and again and again. His Instagram account, the one that's in question, was allegedly viewed by People magazine prior to it have been taken down. And it was said that that account of Brian's did in fact follow Maddie, Kaylee, and Xana. The outlet said that he did not publicly interact with their accounts, aside from the DMs that he sent the one individual and a couple of likes on photos here and there. Nothing outwardly commenting or making his presence very known, just silently liking some photos and then sliding into the DMs privately. These messages took place in October, and Brian's account started liking photos of Maddie's beginning August 16th. And we're going to get why that is important in just a bit here. It's unknown which student Brian sent Instagram messages to at this time, but the official who spoke with People magazine said that whoever this victim was may have completely missed these messages. Now, many people out there have been wondering how this happens, how a girl who is so active on social media, whether it was Maddie, Kaylee, or Xana, could miss these messages, especially if they were happening repeatedly. But I'm going to show you exactly how it happens. And I'm going to do this by actually showing you a screen recording of my own personal Instagram account. And I'm going to show you this in just a second because it is very easy to miss these messages. Now, to start, when a person who an Instagram user doesn't follow back attempts to send a message, it goes to a designated folder called Message Requests. These requests are located in a different place than the typical messages that you receive are. And any messages that go to this folder don't give you push notifications to alert you of this incoming message. So whoever received these, she may not have even seen them because they could have been in that message request folder. But there's also a second request folder that is even more hidden. So let me show you this as I pull it up on my screen. If we go into the messages, you can see all the primary messages. Please don't be like harassing any of my friends here that I've been DMing. But then you go to your request folder. Now the number is weird. It's not accurate because I think I have like upwards of, I don't even know, like you can just scroll and scroll and scroll. But as you can see here, all of these are the message requests. So these are from people who you don't follow back, who maybe are potential spam accounts, things like that. And you can just go and it shows you how long ago the message came through, if it's a photo, if it's a link, it gives you the first preview of the line. And you can click into the message if you want, and you can see what they said a little bit more, which you can see. I'll do that here.
She doesn't reveal anything new here that we haven't talked about. On
a couple of them. But then if you keep scrolling down, you see that little ticker where it starts populating more messages because it just goes. But underneath that is hidden requests. Now in this request folder, this is where messages automatically get moved, so Instagram says, that might be offensive or unwanted. However, as you can see in my folder, this isn't spam. You would think that maybe something that's super spammy would automatically get routed to this folder, similar to like a spam folder on Gmail or something like that. But you can see as I pull these up, a lot of these messages are just nice messages. So there's not really a rhyme or reason as to why it went to the hidden request folder, which is behind the wall already of the message request folder. So it's very easy that something goes missed. You can see it's entirely possible for messages to either go unseen or, of course, be read and then ignored without the sender knowing that you viewed the message. As I said, it's unknown at this time which student Brian sent these Instagram messages to. However, we do know that Kaylee is said to have complained of a stalker leading up to the killings. We also know, per the affidavit, that Brian allegedly had been stalking that King Road residence for 3 months prior to the murders taking place, and that he visited that location to where his phone pinged in that area as many as 12 times in that 90-day period. Additionally, it had been reported early on by family members and